escort and my recorder and my son. From Strofus. That Tifanella, she is a symbol of the Women's Air Force Service pilots. Walt Disney created her way back in 1943 for all our women pilots. We were the first women pilots to fly for the United States Air Force. They didn't recognize us, but we flew for them. That's my mother and my father. My mother and father were older parents, and I was so glad that they were older parents because we're of the old school, and I think it's a wonderful way for a child to be brought up. We had 6 siblings. We had 5 girls and 1 boy in our family, and I was the only wild one, I guess. But it was a wonderful time for my family. And my daddy died in 1940, so Mother had the 6 children, and she wasn't working. And so as soon as those kids would get out of school, we'd go get a job and bring the money home for Mother so that she could continue keeping us in our big home. We were very fortunate in the home because our daddy had been a very, very successful farmer. He had 3 farms. And he sold the farms, came to town, married my mother, and then he had 6 kids. But then, thank God, he built the house, and the next year, down goes the banks. Well, there was a recession, a real bad recession. And so and Daddy was not able to work anymore. And so that's why we'd go get a job and bring the money home to our mother. We had a wonderful family. I had the most wonderful family in the whole world. And so that was our transportation. We had a bicycle. As soon as you got a job, you went and got a bicycle. Of course, you borrowed the money from the bank to get the bike. But I was very fortunate. They were very good to us. And as a kid, I'd always like to climb up high. You know, I have to explain to the high school kids what high meant. They're high, my Anyway, we had this wonderful group of 18 men that had this club out at the little Faribault Airport, south of town, in a little corn pasture. It was a wonderful airport. It's where I first learned. And I was the only woman there. They had the 18 fellas that belonged to the Sky Club, and I'd go listen to them. I just was so interested in flying. The reason is, I had a fellow, I used to be a deputy register of deeds, and this fellow used to come to the office and he kept talking about flying. And I thought, gee, I sit on roofs, I could shimmy up a tree. I thought, I could get above it all if I get in an airplane. So he said, you want to fly? I said, sure I do. So I went out, he took me out to the local airport, and I got in this airplane, and he took people for rides, and they'd go up about 3,000 feet into a stall, into a spin and dive. He didn't want to turn around and look at me, and I said, one more time. After I said one more time, he didn't look around anymore. He landed that airplane. You know, he didn't look too good. He said, you know, whatever you do, you got to take up flying. I made everybody sick, but you made me sick. So I knew I had to take up flying because I fell in love. It was like first flight. And so that was why I heard, well, I was flying at the local airport, and finally one of the fellas went into the airport, and that left an opening in the little group we had at the airport. They approached me and said, now you can join our Sky Club. I said, oh, that's fine. What's it cost? $100. $100? I was making $50 a month at the local courthouse. And I was giving money to Mother. And I didn't have too much money, but I thought, well, I heard the bank's a little money. So I went down to the local banker and I said, Mr. Cowell, I want to borrow $100. $100, Miss Wall? What do you want with $100? I'm going to join Sky Club. Oh, he said, women don't fly. I said, this one's going to. So I said, well, you know what? Was he a honey of a banker? He brought me up to the counter and I signed my name and he co-signed my note. And he took my bicycle as collateral and I got that. And the fellows were all so kind to me. Always as a lady, they were very, very kind. And all of a sudden, a notice came out saying they're looking for women pilots to fly with the military military aircraft. Boy, that's right down my alley. I thought that's what I wanted to do. So, checked it. We had to go up to the veterans up in the hospital at the clinic. But they had to make sure we were selling mine. Because we there with all the men, which was not bad. So then we went down in Texas. It was so much fun. We went on the old train from the old depot, and the fellas flew alongside. We had no restrictions in flight. What did they know about flying those years? They'd fly alongside the train all the way down to the Iowa border. That was just wonderful. We kept waving at them. Anyway, when we got out to Sweetwater, Texas, we had a wonderful time. We joined all these other women who wanted to fly airplanes, and we wanted to fly military aircraft. And so, oh, it was great. And so we were joined in classes. I was in class 44 W1, and the government was not in favor of our program. They did everything they could to stop this program because women were not supposed to fly airplanes. It's too dangerous for them. Well, that's the way they thought. Anyway, we proved wrong. So anyway, we got there. We were put into flights, and flight 1 and flight 2 from 8 a.m. and into 0 or X or whatever. Anyway, that's the way we were. We had these 2 flights. The girls were all wonderful. They all wanted to fly. They were stars. They were starlets. They were movie people, and they were very, very famous people among this group. And then there was me. Anyway, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And we all became, as a group, we all wanted to fly these airplanes. It was wonderful. I guess I better look and see what he's got here. Although those, as you see, being that the government did not want us to fly, we were not issued any uniforms. This is what we had. These are uniforms left over from the RAF fellows who came down and were trained there. So we took their uniforms, we rolled them up and tucked them in. We didn't care. We wanted to fly those airplanes. That's the way they looked at you. And winter outfits, we had to put suspenders on the whole pants on, socks on the whole boots on. We didn't care. But we didn't care what we wore. And we also were aligned. We had, we were put into flights, and then the first flight to 8 a.m. would fly a certain time, and then we'd take the first morning trip, and then we'd go to school in the morning. We had ground school. When I was a girl in high school, you could take typing, shorthand, a whole bit of economics. Well, thanks a lot. I didn't want any of that. Because I knew I had to make a living for our family. And so I took the bookkeeping and shorthand, and that's how I got a job at the courthouse, registered in his office. And anyway, this is our mess hall. I thought we were doing it very well. The mess was very good, I thought. 3 squares a day, no problem. And now I'm on the other side of the room. You see, I had no camera at that time. And this is my class, but I'm on the other side of the room. These are my classmates. All wonderful women. They're all passed away. But they're up there praying for me. And this shows we had to learn inches. What did I know about inches? you know, I just get to the car, turn it on, go. I didn't know what it was consistent of or whatever. That was the way it was back then. Women were not supposed to know anything mechanical, you see. So anyway, they even had, in our college school, they even had the,
Physics. Physics.
yeah, physics. Physics, that was something my mother gave me for a stomach ache. To fly airplane. That was tough to learn all those things. But by golly, I knew I had to learn those places, all those things if I'm going to fly airplane. And I worked really hard. That was the hardest thing about that flying was learning all that. That's a real flying. That's a real reconnaissance plane we dived down. And those were the wonderful days to fly. No restrictions. We could do what we please. We got lost. We go down and look at the roadside and then take a back. And we had no simulators. You know, simulators, and they fellas get in and they look and they try the simulator to show you how you fly a plane. We had no simulators. You want to fly an airplane, you got it. Oh, it was a wonderful time to fly airplanes. And that's our primary treatment. It's a PT-19 rolling over cockpit. It was beautiful plane to fly. We did a lot of cross country of that. And then we went into the BT-13. Everybody had to take after me and sit to our place in Switzerland. Oh, that's what they call Miss Betty. And after that, yeah, that shows you really what we do. We did a lot of cross country, so we had to find out where we were going to go with a lot of checkpoints. Well, there, before I flew this AT-6, I had a young man come out from Faribault that had an airplane, a little Cessna, and he said, now you saw that you could fly airplanes, now you can come home and get mirrors. Well, I wasn't too sure about that. Well, he talked for 2 days, and I thought, oh, well, he's got an airplane. And he said, so anyway, he was going back to Faribault. So the next morning I went in to see Miss Teaton. She was our director of flying there. And I said, Miss Teaton, I'm going to resign. You're going to resign, Betty. She took out all my records. She said, well, you're passing your ground school. Boy, that was tough for me. You know, girls weren't allowed all the things they could do today. Thank God they have the opportunity that they have today. Anyway, you passed your ground school, but she said, oh, are you doing good flying? I was #1 at flying. Anyway, so she said, if you want to go home, of course, that's your opinion. But before you go home, I want you to get a ride in 86. That is the next plane we're going to be flying. I went out to the airport the next morning, and they gave me a flight to F-16, and I went back, called that boy up, I'm not coming home. He said, if you don't go home, I'm going to go home and marry somebody else. I said, you go right ahead, we both lived happily ever after. Oh, there, that's the plane I'm going to be recognized in Oshkosh Museum. They have a plane there with Miss Elizabeth Betty Walsh Strofus, and that's me. Time for them to recognize women there. Anyway, these are the fellows from the Lake Trail. The Lake Trail is what we used to find out about flying instruments. And it was very good. The fellows there were very good. They were very good to me because I knew nothing about nothing. They were very kind. And we had women trainees. There was only supposed to be women trainees there, but we didn't like that side, so we changed. And we had all kinds of girls. Movie star, she was a professional actress on the end. She was from New York stage. The gal at the bottom was a super singer. She was an opera singer. They were all special people. It was just wonderful, the group of wonderful women we had. But when we got down there flying airplanes, we were this, you see, because the government didn't want to spend any money on, they got us an old cow cattle truck to take us to the airport. You see, we had quite a few gals flying at the time at Las Vegas. Oh no, I'm at Sweetwater yet. Anyway, that's Sweetwater. So what they did, they decided that the gals, oh boy. Anyway, that's the cattle truck they took us around. The gals were ready for graduation, or their wings. They would have the big field. We had to go and use the auxiliary field. This is out in the boondocks with all the dust in it. But we didn't care where they was. We flew those airplanes out there. They had to take this cattle. Now the cattle truck was pretty good. They cleaned it out and they put 2 big long benches on either side, and that's where we sit. And that was our vehicle to take us to all our airplanes. That's okay. And then they said it snowed in Texas. Well, let me tell you, it didn't snow enough to make a freestanding snow lady. Pressure her against the barracks. And when we trade, we have a fishing well. We still have the wishing well there at Sweetwater now, and we go out there and we celebrate. And we used to march to everywhere we went. When we went in, we took the oath of the military. We were under military orders. We had to do what the military said, but we weren't military. Anyway, that's the way it was. And we had a march everywhere we went. And when you solo, we throw the girl into the wishing well, but we pull her out again. My sister, God bless my Julianne, she's one of my sisters who's passed away. She and I went to Manhattan, Kansas for a celebration. And I put one of her uniforms on and I'd take her out the airport and we'd have a great time. And you know, I don't even know who she is, but I like that because, you know, the officers did not want us flying their airplanes. They were all men that were our instructors. They really didn't want us there. So they do everything to see if they can get us out. So I just like that attitude of that woman. Tell me that. And there again, they would never get us in a uniform because we were not supposed to be flying. And so we had our old white blouses and they got us from khaki slacks. That was our uniform for a while. But Jacqueline Cochran, you see some of our girls were doing ferrying on this side. They were ferrying all around our country to taking the place because our men, in 1942 it started, all the men who could fly were sent to war. The surprise when we had that war, you know, and so all the fellows who could fly were sent to war, so they had nobody in our country do the ferrying and trading of our men to go to war. We were it. And so that's the first class that had, that was my class. It was the first class that had uniforms made for us. And you know, that Jacqueline Cochran had people from Saks, Fifth Avenue come and measure us and get us our uniform. Signifies women, Air Force service pilots. That's us. Now I had to wear a helmet. I had one over a gadget over my head because you see our instructors were men pilots. They weren't supposed to disturb the men in the back seat. So we had to put things around their head to keep our hair covered. Now, I graduated and I got my hat on and I got wings. And boy, there I am. I came home on leave. And boy, if you don't think I was a hot pilot, all you want. And we had a photography. Then I was sent to Las Vegas Army Air Force along with 9 other women. There were only 7 of us there. I don't know what happened to the other 2. But anyway, I had just come down from a flight, so you know which one I am. But anyway, we had now this is the way we trained the instruments at that time. We had a big black hood that went over the back seat. Well, men did not know women were flying, but we were the instructors.
Oh.
So I was a pretty good friend of this fellow's name was Jeff from Kansas City. And he and I are pretty good. We do a little dog fighting in between our missions. But anyway, he came down the ramp and he saw this thing, and I said, well, I'm your instructor today. He said, you mean I gotta get under that wood? And I said, yes, you do. You see, you can't get out of the wood till you land. And so he said, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to have you in front seat. I said, I tell you what, Jim, let's go up and have a little flight. And I want you to take the plane until we get to 5,000 feet. But when I wiggle that stick, I'm in control. So we got in. He had a nice takeoff. Went up to 5,000 feet and I shook the stick. I'm in control. And so I started doing a few acrobatics. And spins and stalls and rolls, everything I could think of. Because I wanted him to know I don't care what kind of position he put us in, I can pull out of it. Well, after about 15 minutes, he looked a little green, so I thought I better land. I said, you okay, Jim? Yeah. I said, would you take a flight with me? I don't know what to know that I need to do. Yeah. I had more trouble with it than I felt. I need to spread the word. Those are some of the activities I love to do acrobatics. Some of the acrobatics. I flew in a co-pilot B-26. The B-26 is the plane. See, I don't put a camera on my own, so I had to get pictures. The B-26 is a broader and it's a, no, that's the B-26 pilot that, airplane that had the 2 engines, and we also had to train the gunners. We had a great big tow rope behind that, and behind that we had a great big, it was like made like a windsock, wasn't it? And they would shoot at that with actual ammunition. And we put targets for it. Well, that was one of our jobs. I tell you, they can sure shoot up that foot. But they never hit me. And I was asked if I wanted to be I was trained as a B-17 co-pilot. I'll show you a picture of the B-17. 4-engine bomber, 350 horsepower. Each one of those 4-engine, one had a lot of power. I like that. Anyway, so anyway, let's get through that. That's another story. Anyway, I was flying in this B-26, and I say they had the big tool behind it, and they shot at that, and then they would show them on a big tree where they would. And there's a little P-39. That's a Ballroom Cobra. Now I told you we had those simulators to show us how to fly an airplane. Get in, take it off, and there's only one place in there. So they needed a P-39 pilot one day. I always was available. And he said, well, you want to fly it? I said, sure. So he said, well, come on down and I'll keep that through the list with me to show me what the captain. The list, I didn't want to know everything about that. But there was a tricycle landing gear up there. I was flying tail draggers. Now, the tricycle landing gear is a little tricky. So, see that gear up in front? And so I said, the only thing that bothers me about this airplane is that coming and landing. I don't know about that tricycle landing in front, because I'm used to the thing in the back. He said, well, don't worry, we'll talk in. I said, okay. So I got in this airplane, I knew nothing about it, except I just knew all the things you're supposed to know about. All the files and all the buttons and all those sort of things. Well, I knew that. Anyway, so I got in, took off, had a great time up there. He said, don't worry, I'll be on the radio with you. I said, okay. And so I got up there, oh, I did all kinds of acrobatics in the plane I wasn't supposed to do. And the 36, nobody told me. So anyway, after I did it for a while, and the fella kept talking to me, I said, oh, this is a fun aircraft to fly, it's so maneuverable and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, my radio went dead. I thought, well, thanks, boys. green lights all over the place. Wild woman up there never flew the So I decided nothing was going to happen to that airplane. So I got up and I tried landing, you know, I go up about 6,000 feet. And I kept doing this installing, because you have to stall an airplane, you would have stalled it up, the wheels would hit the runway. So I did that for a while, and that's okay. So I could do that. So I went around, of course they gave me the green light, had all the crash trucks out there. Yeah. And so I came down to land, and well, I didn't do too bad. But you know what? I rolled down the runway to get cut, and I'm hanging on for dear life. Oh boy, they said this thing is hot. I believe it's hot. So I rolled down the runway, and I stopped at the very end. And my friend was running along in the Jeep, and he came back down to the end. He opened the door, I opened the hood, and I said, "How'd you like my landing?" Hell of a good landing, but why didn't you use your flash? My flash got to slow down, and no wonder I was blue lady cut. By golly, I never hurt the airplane, I never hurt me. My job mostly, we were checked out as co-pilots in the B-17 before engine bomber. I did that a few times, but that wasn't as much fun as diving in on airplanes. So me and about 600 fellows that get up there, and we dive in at the B-17s as they come around, and my son is very interesting to it. He was so good. He found out about the Waller trader, that was something they had during World War II, and it was a very secretive operation. Nobody knew about it, but we found out. Our found out.
The Waller trainer was developed by Fred Waller, who was with the movie industry. And he and a friend had decided you could actually fool your brain into thinking you're actually there if you had a completely round screen. So they had a round screen that went up to a rounded overhead ceiling. And it was about 3 stories high. And they developed a situation where they had 5 motion picture cameras linked together mechanically that would project images of planes dive bombing at 4 gunnery positions that they had stationed just in front of the projectors. And then they had additional devices that would do automatic scoring for each of the 4 gunnery positions. And the installations and the entire development of this was top secret. It was one of the few, it was actually one of the only training things for gunners on the planet at the time. And they had several of these installations throughout the United States. Fred Waller eventually won an Academy Award because he turned that situation into something called Cinerama. So that's basically where it came from. So and Mom actually was in the building several times watching the gunners and watching the
I didn't know it was so important.
That's very interesting.
Well, anyway, that's the way we trained, and it was a wonderful experience. I'm going to tell you, that's finished. I'll tell you about this. When there was a place called Indian Springs over at Las Vegas, and it was north of Las Vegas, and that's just to show you Indian Springs at the time. But anyway, it was a great big building there, and they wanted the pilot to fly this plane over at Indian Springs, so I said, sure. I was always available for flying. And so, well, I had to go into the office. I had to sign a statement saying that I wouldn't go below 500 feet. I thought it said 50. I went in, and the building was facing the north, and I was coming up from the south. I come down, and I fly 50 feet over the building, and I change the prop pitch of an 86. Oh, that's a beautiful moor. turned around, everybody hit the deck. And then I went around and I was supposed to do. They said they had the best score they ever had that day because they sure didn't want to shoot that pilot down. So I did what I was supposed to do, dived in on the fellows. And they took their pictures. And then I was running a little low on fuel, and so I said, well, I had to stop and get some fuel at Indian Springs. So I pulled up to a pump, and this one man came a dashing down the runway, and I could tell he was mad. His hair was as red as his face, or his face as red as his hair. And he came down and he said, I'm going to report you. And he said, look at me, he said, where's that pilot that flew that last mission? I was the first woman pilot to fly this mission over Indian Springs. And he looked at me and pulled out my helmet. I put my little lipstick on. And I said, hi. And he looked again and he said, I said, where's that pilot that flew that last mission? Well, I'm your pilot. I don't think he said what he was going to say. I'm going to report you. I said, you go right ahead. I'm going to tell him about you. I said, tell me, young man, where are you been going from here? They're going to combat. And I want them to live to get there. You know what? I want them to live after they get there. I want them to come home to their moms and their dads and their wives. He looked at me. I'm going to report you. I said, you go right ahead. You know, they can't let me fly no. I put my wings away. It was a wonderful experience. And then December 20th, no, first, I tell you, when I was flying, my main mission, some of the girls went into co-pilot for the B-17. A lot of them buried their pilots. But anyway, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to dive in on the bombers. So me and all the fellows were up there waiting for our turn to go. And so we take turns diving in on the bombers. They did shoot at us with camera guns. But that's true when we show it on the bomber trainer. And so it was so much fun. And anyway, well, I wanted to tell you something special. Oh, you know, when I got flying on this, all this. Anyway, what was I going to say? He's my reminder.
Okay. Yeah. You wanted to tell about the Navy Street thing.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, you see what had happened. Fellows that would come up to be on this mission with us, a lot of them would be at Las Vegas and they wouldn't be feeling too good. So I'd say, oh, anybody who, I'd do my mission in the morning. I'd go back in the afternoon and I'd say, anybody want me to fly their mission? Now, the flight surgeon had told us we could only fly 4 hours a day because this was deep diving. And so he said that, well, anyway, the way he showed me how that, I'll tell you how he trained me to fly this mission. He said, okay, come on, Paul, get in the airplane. My name was Long Service, last name. And so I said, okay. So I got in the 86 and he said, okay, he says, we'll go up and we'll do a little training. I just want to show you what to do. So we went up, he dove in at the airplane, and he had the canopy open, and he was just sitting up there, and I thought, well, this is nothing. We went up and he drove in at the B-17s and he pulled up, went down and landed the airplane oceans and checked out. I said, oh, okay. I'm sitting in the back seat. Now there's a difference when you're in the front seat and the back seat is how you dive. Anyway, I went back up the line and started diving in. I dove so steep that the canopy was open. There goes my hat. There goes everything loose in the airplane. Thank God I was attached because anyway, after that one time I took that plane down and I closed that canopy. See, the canopy is open, the wind was blowing. It was wonderful, but it was a good life. So I went down and closed the canopy. Back up and did it again, and I did it right. Anyway, I was going to tell you about that.
doing 8 hours a day.
That's correct. And then they also sent us down to Orlando, Florida. We were supposed to be trained or given a training in officers. We were supposed to become an officer in the United States Air Force. So we thought that was nice. We went down, took the training, we all passed it. We're sitting back in Las Vegas Army Airfield. They said, "Thank you, girls, now you can go home and lead a normal life." I said, "What?" You know, no more planes, no more airplanes. They had enough men to move overseas that could take the jobs, and so they didn't want us flying anymore. At that time, we had flown 61 million miles for the United States Air Force. We did all the training, we did all the ferrying of aircraft from the factory to the fields for the fellas. And now they did need us. Boy, was that a kick in the world. Anyway, that's the way it was. And then when I got out, I had a commercial rating, a seaplane rating, I had instruction rating. I could fly anything. I could fly all the bombers. I could fly anything that was available. Nobody wanted anything that was available. And that's okay. I had a good life. And there's our girls walking away. Those girls are 5'7". They could be first pilots. I was only a co-pilot because I was only 5'3". And I didn't care. And you know what? On July 3rd, I'm going to be flying up in St. Thomas, Minnesota in a B-17 as co-pilot. Anyway, and then I call that the Last Supper because that's the Last Supper before they sent us all home at Las Vegas. It was a wonderful time there, and I enjoyed my flight very much. But it was kind of hard to leave it all behind. And there's Shirley Slade. She was on one of the night magazines way back in 1943. That was the last publicity we got. We didn't get any publicity about any of our flying because we were women. And that was kind of tough.
Yeah.
You know, we were women, but we were women pilots. And we have reunions. We go back to Sweetwater, Texas. We have our reunions. I was there. In fact, we were in the Rose Bowl parade this January, and our float won the National Trophy Award. There were 17 of us girls, but there's only room for English on the float, so we had to take notes and I lost. But I was on the side, waving at my girls. It was a wonderful experience. Oh, and I did all kinds of jobs afterwards. I did aircraft communication. But the fellas, he and his buddy, assistant, were in charge, and we were the workers. And we had 2 girls working and 1 other fella. You know, they have the girls working from 8 o'clock at night till 12 o'clock midnight, or midnight till 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, after 3 months of that kind of treatment, I quit. I said, I'm not going to take, I never saw daylight. And I had a few boyfriends in Cheyenne, they used to go over and see me. I hardly got to see him. Well, and then I came home and I got married to a wonderful young man, Arthur Roberts. We had a wonderful life together. I had 6 wonderful children. 4 boys and a girl. My girl was going to be here. She did it. But I'm so lucky to have my son Arthur with me. He's my escort. Well, that was when I was at the Register of Deeds office. Then I ran for, oh, God, I'll tell you one more thing. I ran for the Register of Deeds because Alahani quit, and I had been his secretary. I did everything to him. He and I were the ones running the office. I did all the recording on this great machine. I had to put the planes in there and pull this big frame down. I had a big job there, and I did all the filing, all the typing, everything that needed to be done in the office. And so he was retiring. By this time, my dear husband had died at the age of 50, and I had 5 children to raise. I had 2 in the service, 1 in the service, 2 in college, and another one, and 2 of them in high school yet. So I'm that's the way it was. And then, well, then I had a girlfriend of mine, married a plumber. I was worried about my pet, like they were up in Boston, and they were calling their mother like I wanted them to. So I went out to check up on them. And I went out and checked out them in Boston, and Mary Lou and I was a researcher for the American Cancer Society for 15 years, what happened. And so we went into the cancer office in New York to see what I had done. And this fellow took me all around to show me what I had done. He was the assistant. Mary Lou went visited with the excuse me. With the Conner Hammond, who was the big shot in the cancer office at the time. And when he heard that I was in pursuit through World War II, he said, I want her on my staff. I didn't even have to write a resume or nothing. I went back the next month and I was a researcher from New York City. Oh, I was so glad I didn't make that whole thing. I was so glad I pulled it out because I got that job. It was wonderful. I went to 29 states. I got friends all over the United States of America. Wonderful people. And that's what I did. Then I came home one time and I've been going to come home and see this fellow once in a while. Finally, he said, you know, why don't you stay home and get married? I said, okay. But he passed away. I had 3 husbands and they all died. And then, oh yeah, I got to tell you this one thing. I got to quit because you're not when I was working out in New York, they had a Boston sister manufacturer from Boston. And she was all for our women pilots. See, we didn't have to get recognized at all. And so they were trying to get us to be veterans. We had never become veterans because they sent us home. We were nothing for the Air Force. And so we went to Congress. There were 7 of them. Oh, first a big paper come out. First woman to fly military aircraft. Oh no, they weren't. We were the first. So we went to Congress with all our information to show what we had done during the war. And after some very Goldwater told me, I saw him before he passed away. He was a buddy of mine. He said, you know, Betty, the best thing I ever did was vote for liberty. You girls deserve it, and I'm going to see you again. So he was one of our backers. So that was good. Anyway, so we went there and we got recognized. And then they gave us a Congressional Gold Medal. This is just a small one. I got it in there somewhere. This is a miniature of it I have. It's that big and that thick, so I can't carry that around. I'm big. It's full of Congressional Gold Medal. Part of the Air Force, and I'm so proud to be a part of the United States. God bless you all.
Inspired story.